All right, I think everybody's on. Sorry for all the issues getting started, but we wanted to fill you guys in. Our QSL stores are going to start testing our new paperless system. We're going to go live with our test on October 6th, which means for period 10, week 1, you'll do all the paperwork the old way, and then effective, once all that's done, the next day we'll start doing things this new way. The purpose of going paperless isn't just we didn't just have the intent of eliminating the invoices and the packages and eliminating paper going back and forth. We wanted to figure out a way that would reduce your time in the office. We think we've done that, but at the same time, through the last 3 weeks of period 10, we want your feedback as to what's good, what's bad, what we can change. We still have time and the ability to change things and fix things to make your life easier. If not, just let us know and we'll work to correct whatever headaches you're dealing with. So, in a nutshell, the way this new system's going to work, and Leonard from Docufree is going to show you kind of how to navigate through the system. But what we've done is we've reduced your entering invoices into Rosnet to just liquor and any food invoice that is not EDI. Just for those that don't know what EDI is, that means if your invoice is not automatically getting sent into Rosnet, if it's a food vendor who's not automatically being sent into Rosnet, you'll still need to enter that into Rosnet. All liquor invoices, you'll still need to enter that into Rosnet. For all other invoices, all you're going to have to do is scan and email them to an email address, which we'll provide later in the presentation, and you're done. If for some reason your scanner's not working, your vendor will be provided a different email address, and that's essential. We'll get to that in a few minutes, where they can send it in, and there's a workflow where you're just going to ultimately have to go on, click approve or decline, and all of Rosnet will be populated for you through the wonderful world of computers. You guys won't have to go in and populate Rosnet for anything except liquor and any food invoice that is not automatically uploaded into Rosnet. Anybody have any questions on that before we get started? With that being said, I'm going to turn this over to Leonard from Docufree. If anybody has any questions throughout the call, please just stop us, ask your question, and we'll get you guys an answer on the spot.
Great, and thank you.
Pam, are you there too? Pam, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Great. Pam's also from Docufree. She's been working with us on the implementation side, so she can help us out with anything not working. All yours, Leonard.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Just to reiterate there, we have a fast new system that's going to make it a lot faster and easier for you to process all the invoices. And there are basically two options, two possibilities here. That is that you might send an invoice to Docufree, and if you do that and make the changes to any changes to Rosnet that you need, you're done. Because if you send in your invoice by email to Docufree, Docufree is going to assume that the store has already approved that invoice, and you're done with that one invoice then. The other possibility, as we said a few minutes ago, is that a vendor might send in, one of your vendors might send in an invoice of your store to the Docufree system, and then somebody needs to know whether your store is approving it, so that invoice then would route back to you, and we'll go over that in a minute. We'll route back to you for you to say whether you're ready to pay that invoice or not. So let me start with this screen right here. What I have really are just two email addresses. These are the formats, rather, for the email addresses. If you have an invoice that you're sending in from your store, you're going to follow an email address that looks like this. Don't worry about writing it down, because you're going to get this information in writing later. And here's an example: Applebee's Clark _approved AP at dohertyinc.godocufree.com. And as I said, you're going to be getting the correct email address for you to use from Doherty. And then separately, if there's another email address here that you need to know about, and that is if the invoice is coming from a vendor and they want to send it straight in to the Docufree system, they can follow another email path here. So those are the two basic emails. If an invoice is coming in from a vendor straight into the Docufree system, that invoice needs to route back to your store so the system knows whether your store is approving the payment of that or not. So let me take you into the Docufree system to get in there.
Leonard?
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, Leonard? Sorry, guys, this is Danny. The reason we're doing that, just so the stores understand, you never want to give out your approved email address to your vendors. And the reason that we don't want that given out to anybody but our managers is because if a vendor sends something to that address, it's done and paid. So you guys won't have to deal with it. AP won't have to deal with it. We trust that when you guys are sending something to your approved AP email address, that invoice is good to go. And it's not going to get reviewed on our end. It's just going to get processed into Rosnet, processed into our accounting software, and paid. When something is sent off to the other email address, which your vendors have, they won't be able to just send things to that address and have it paid, whether it be a statement, an invoice you guys don't want paid, or it could just be an upset vendor that is sending stuff in because maybe you just switched off and they're just trying to get money out of us. So it's really important you never give out your approved AP email address, only the other one. The other one has a lot of security, so nothing can get processed without your approval and AP's approval. The other email address, not so much. Does anybody have any questions on that? We're good.
Okay. Well, let's go straight on into Docufree then. You can just go to pretty much any web browser. We recommend Internet Explorer, and you type in the following URL, saas.docufree.com. And I'm going to select this and copy it for a moment before I press enter, just so it's on my clipboard, and I'm going to show you something real easy in a minute. I go ahead and press enter, and it's going to take me to this site right here, where it says, this page asks for your site name, and your site name is Doherty Inc. And notice that it's spelled with no word space, no period, no comma, nothing like that. Just Doherty Inc. is one word.
Leonard, there's an extra E in there.
Oh, sorry about that. And click continue. And then it's going to ask you for your username and your password. Now, a summary of your site name and your username and your password you're going to get from Doherty. So that information will be readily available to you. And I'm going to use an unusual username here and sign in real quick. Click sign in, and I am now on the home page, and this is what Docufree looks like. And it gets kind of complicated here. Now, before I go much further, I want to point out with this URL right here, I can make this a favorite if I want to, so I don't have to even memorize that URL. Just come over here to the star, where it turns from a white star into a gold star, and that you click on Add to Favorites. And I'm going to say yes. Go ahead and add this email address, this URL, and actually I already had it mounted up there, and it will appear over here where it says Docufree Capture, Manage, and Store. So in the future, all you have to do is open a web browser and go here over to the star for your favorites, come down and select Docufree, and you're going to be right into the system like you are right here. Now, there are all kinds of buttons and things that you can press on, and most of these are not relevant to you, so we're not even going to go into them today. The main thing you need to know about is going here to the inbox. So this is a tab. You click on Inbox, and if it's not already selected, you select My Tasks here on the left. And as you see, we've got 3 PDF files sitting here. That's 3 invoices that are sitting here. There's going to be a workflow up here at the top named AP Store. That's probably going to be selected for you already, but if not, you just select AP Store because that's your workflow. Today we're going to just do some mock-up things, so we're actually going to use a different workflow called Training Store Workflow, but don't worry about that. They both work exactly the same. And I have 3 invoices here that were sent straight into the system from the vendor, and now as the store representative, I need to decide whether these are going to be paid or not. Did somebody have a question there?
Yeah, Leonard, I just wanted to interrupt just a second. The user that you're using is an administrative user, so some of the tabs and or links that they see on the page, they may not necessarily see when they log in. For instance, in this workflow drop-down, when you did it, there were like 4 or 5 entries. They will only see one entry. They'll never really have to select it. It will just be the store AP will be all they'll ever see. Mm-hmm. So it will be a little bit simpler for them.
Yes, thanks for pointing that out. So we have 3 invoices here, and they are under this tab called My Tasks. You notice there's a 3 there, indicating that I sure enough have 3 invoices waiting for me here. And I'm going to select the first one, and do that by a single click on the name of the file. And I'm going to expand this so that I can, so everybody can see it more easily. Here is an invoice from Happy Chef. And if I scroll to the bottom here, it's for $134.75. And here's the itemized list of what all the expenses were. You don't even exactly have to remember what to do here because your directions are given to you right here. The directions say, review the invoice and complete the task using approved option, and the invoice will be processed. Otherwise, use the reject approval option, and the file will be sent to the AP department for additional review. So your goal here is to come under here where it says choose option, click the down arrow, and you can select either approved or you can select reject approval based upon whether you want this invoice to be approved for payment or not. For the purposes of an example here, I'm going to select approved. That's all I really have to do here, except I have to select the submit button. And once I do that, this task or this invoice is going to disappear, and it's going to go straight into the AP system for payment. So I'm going to select submit, and it takes just a moment to process. And see, now instead of 3, I have 2 left because that first one disappeared. So I'm going to, a question?
Let me just point out to all of our managers, what you're seeing right now, you'll only have to do this if the vendor is the one scanning in the invoice and emailing it. If you guys are scanning in and emailing it, you'll never have to do this. It's done automatically. I just want to reiterate that part. So this is only if your vendors are sending the invoice into our system, which they could do. You can tell them to do it if you want, but then you'll have to do this so that we know it's valid and nothing gets paid that you guys don't want paid.
Right. So let's go over an example of that, of something you don't want paid. I'm going to select the next invoice in my workflow here. Just a single click did it. And the directions are exactly the same as I read to you a minute ago. And here what we have is an invoice from Stanley Steamer, and it was dated 13th September. You have all kinds of customer numbers and invoice numbers here, and it's for the amount of $320. Well, let's say I don't really agree with the price, or let's say that there's some key information missing, or maybe the invoice number is wrong, or something like that. Anything I don't like about this invoice that's going to keep me from wanting to pay it right away, I'm just going to say reject invoice. So come over here under choose option and select reject approval. Now, I could go ahead and click submit, and this file would route to AP, but then when AP goes to review it, they're not going to have a clue as to why you rejected it. So if you're going to reject an invoice, it's a good idea to put a sentence in here saying why, such as, this is not the price I agreed to with the vendor. Or whatever the problem is, you know, if the data is wrong, if the invoice number is wrong, what have you. So now the AP group is going to have something to go on when they see this invoice and try to decide whether to issue a payment for it or not. So with this saying reject approval and a quick sentence here explaining why I was rejecting it, I just click submit, and off it goes into the system. And now I've just got one invoice left to deal with. So let's go ahead and do this last invoice. Single click on the title. Directions are exactly the same as they were a minute ago. You have to either approve this or reject approval. And this one's from Happy Chef again. What I'm going to do is magnify it so that we can read it a lot easier. And this one is for $68.81. I like this one okay. I don't see any reason for it not to be paid. So I'm just going to come over here and mark it approved, click submit, and off it goes, and I am done. There is one other that came in here for the purposes of an example. I'm sorry, go ahead.
One note that I can add, when you add notes, just so you know, the value that you put in the note is going to be permanently added to the file along with the date and time and the person, the username who entered the note. So if there's something that you don't want to preserve for posterity, you may want to, think about what you're writing there, because it will stay with the file.
Yeah, that'll stay in there forever. So there are a few rules that we need to go over. Remember, there are two different processes. One is if the vendor sends the invoice straight into Docufree, and the other is if you send in the invoice straight to Docufree. Now, if you're going to send it in, you'll probably get that invoice in email format. Maybe it'll be an attachment or something like that. And what you do is send that invoice into Docufree using this email address, or it'll be the one catered for your store. And like I said, you're going to get this from Doherty, that exact email address that you're supposed to use for your store. Okay, now there are a couple rules that you need to know about. Don't paste the invoice into the body of the email, because when this email goes into the Docufree system, Docufree is going to strip off all attachments and throw away the body of the email and look only at the attachments. So what you need to do is make sure that the invoice that you're sending is an attachment to this email and not in the body of the email itself. Another little rule you need to be aware of is you have one attachment per invoice and one invoice per attachment. That is to say, you cannot put two invoices in one attachment to the email. If an invoice is 2 pages long, you can't put it in two separate email attachments. You have to put it in both pages into one attachment. Okay, now there is a little bit of flexibility though in the system that if you are sending an email into Docufree, you can have more than one attachment. So again, one attachment per invoice and one invoice per attachment. It's a good way to remember it.
Yeah, Leonard, hold on, I'm sorry. If you guys have a day where you have 4 or 5 invoices, you can send them in one email, just separate attachments for each individual invoice. So whatever is easiest for you guys. If you want to do one at a time, that's fine. If you want them all in the same email, that's fine as well. Just separate out the invoices. That's all.
Right. Now, when you send in your invoice to Docufree using this email address, assuming that your invoice attachment is a PDF, which is it's supposed to be, then you'll get a confirmation email back from Docufree saying, we received your invoice. But let's say it wasn't PDF form, so maybe somebody sent a Microsoft Word document as an invoice. Well, that's not going to work. And you will not get the confirmation email back saying that Docufree received your invoice. So you want to make sure it's always in a PDF format. Another little rule here, now this is going back to this situation. Invoices are coming in from vendors, and like we just went through in Docufree a minute ago, it routes back to you and you have to say whether to agree the payment or not agree to it. You only have 3 days to take action. If an invoice is sitting in your inbox, you take action on that invoice, either approving it or denying it within 3 days, or the area director is going to get an email reminding that you have some invoices there that you haven't taken action on. Now that raises an obvious question. How do you know that you got an invoice there to take action on? Well, you're going to get an email. Anytime a vendor sends in an email with an attachment that's an invoice, you are going to receive this from Purchase Requisition. This is to inform you that a workflow task has been added to your task queue. And that's the trigger to you to log into Docufree like we did a minute ago and do the one workflow that you have, and one workflow can have any number of tasks, one invoice per task, and then you're done. It's a very quick, easy, painless system. And we even made it a little bit easier for you here. That is, if you don't want to go through typing in all the URL and everything, all you have to do is click right here, and this will log you straight into Docufree, and you're good to go immediately.
So one correction, the from address will not be from Purchase Requisition. It will be from Store AP. The example where you sent one email with four attachments, 4 separate invoices as 4 separate attachments, you will actually get 4 emails back from Docufree, because once it's in Docufree, it's on an invoice by invoice basis, so you would get a confirmation back for each invoice that you email in. Likewise, the vendor would get the same thing if it was them that had emailed it in.
Right. And it's human nature being what it is, it's going to be natural if you wanted to just take a copy of that invoice and paste it right into the body of the email and shoot it to Docufree. But remember, Docufree isn't going to acknowledge it if it's in the body of the email. It has to be an attachment.
Does anybody have any questions so far? It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, there is one last thing that I need to show you on the Docufree system itself. Let me go back to that page. Let's say you need to locate a particular invoice. Well, it's in the system someplace. How do you find the invoice? You do that here in the upper right-hand corner where it says Quick Search. Now, I've got an invoice number here. I remember it is 1067732A. And I want to go find that the invoice that goes with that invoice number. Whenever I'm typing in here, I use a wildcard character called an asterisk. That's the capital 8. Some people call it the star character. Shift 8. And I put that at the beginning and the end. So it's star 1067732A, and then another star, and then I click go. And it's going to search the system and come up with that invoice, and there it is. Test invoice 1067732A. Exactly what I was searching for. So you've got a quick and easy way of finding any invoice in the system that you need to relocate again.
So, in other words, where we've tried to take this, and we're even going to go a step further on this search in a second, with another pretty cool option we've been able to add. When we get to closeouts, or if there's something just in Rosnet and you're not sure what it is and why it's in there, you guys will have the ability to go in here and search it and see what it is and why it's on your P&L or why it's in Rosnet. Hopefully that speeds up a lot of things around closeouts. It'll obviously also help out, Victor. It'll help you out because you won't have to send in as many questions. You'll have the ability to see everything. And you'll see it within 24 hours of it getting into the system, or 48 hours within it getting into the system. But also, there's another little feature that we've added for you guys. Do you want to show the Rosnet feature, Leonard?
Right. Just a moment. Scroll down here. And here's Rosnet data entry situation. Here's the frontal information that you might be looking at. And notice right here, we've highlighted in yellow, it says View Image. So if you're in Rosnet and you want to see the invoice, you just click there where it says View Image, and this next picture will pop up here. And here's a picture of the invoice itself. The word invoice and HPI Direct, and here's your itemized list on the invoice. So you can see the invoice now directly from Rosnet. Dan, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I do want to hop in for a sec. So there's a couple things. One, we have created a feed so that you guys will have the ability to view images into Rosnet. But there's a couple things. One, if you go and you click the image and it doesn't open, don't panic. Just log into Docufree and you'll be able to see it. Second thing is Rosnet was unable to really get us a nice blown up pretty picture. And if you can't see it, you won't be able to manipulate it much in Rosnet. Again, don't panic. Just go ahead and log into Docufree and view it. But there is one section of invoices that Rosnet cannot accept the image file on, and that's EDI. So if you have an EDI invoice and you want to see it, so if you have a DeCarlo invoice and you want to see DeCarlo, they automatically upload into Rosnet, go through Docufree to see those invoices. Rosnet can't house them, so we can't send it to them. So these are more for your everyday vendors that are not food or liquor. Those invoices you're going to want to go into Docufree to see. But if you're cleaning bills, or if you have an R&M bill and you're trying to figure out who actually submitted this R&M bill for payment, this would be a great place right through Rosnet for you to see it. Any other things? Good. You guys have any questions on being able to view stuff?
If you want to go back to the search screen, we did show how you did a search query, and we got the hits, but we didn't actually show you how to actually open the file in the viewer. So from this,
Right, all you have to do is just single click on the title, and the viewer will come up, and there it is. And if it's too small, you just magnify it there by clicking the plus sign.
if you would hit the notes tab, you can show them an example of a note. So you can see where the date, time, the user who entered the note, and the value of the note is all listed there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, do we have any questions?
Yeah. Let me just add on one thing so everybody understands. On liquor, do they have any non-food EDI? Okay, so for you guys, I think you guys are all set on all your food vendors being EDI, but on liquor, you guys are going to have to still enter that into Rosnet. We are working on a solution to try to automate that, but liquor vendors are not very easy to work with. But you're also going to have to scan that into the approved AP email address. And then at that point, you really won't even need to save liquor invoices for the state requirement anymore, because if we do get an audit and the state walks in, you'll be able to just pull these invoices up real time while the agent's in your store and show them any invoice they want to see. It'll be exactly what you're looking at right now. So you won't have to keep those invoices in your store. Now, historical invoices, until they get to that 90-day mark, you are going to have to keep them in your store because we're not putting historical data into Docufree. It'll be go-forward basis only. Just want to make that clear to everybody.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So that means that our beer invoices are good to go as well? They'll be automated, or is that part of the liquor?
No. Sorry. Any alcoholic purchase, you're going to have to key into Rosnet and send it off to the approved address. We can't do anything with those just yet. We're trying to figure out a solution.
Okay.
Yeah. So any alcohol purchase will have to be keyed into Rosnet by the manager and then scanned in and sent off. At that point, you'll be able to discard the invoice, and you'll have access to it this way. But other than that, no. For right now, Sam, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Right now, Sam, we're going to have to stay keying those in. There's no way to, because we're so. The reason, just so everybody says why we can't do it, because we're so detailed on a line item basis, and how we track every type of alcohol we purchase to virtually the ounce. There's no way to have the system translate it into the detail you guys need it, so that your inventory levels remain exactly the way you want it. We're trying to build something so that it will do it for you, and nothing will ever change in your Rosnet world. But for right now, there's no solution that exists anywhere in the world. Unfortunately, we've searched. That's kind of where we're at.
Hey, Danny.
Hey, Kurt.
This is Kurt. I have a question. In regards to DiCarlo and Tramontano for produce, if the invoices are loaded up EDI, let's say on that invoice I had to return a case of tomatoes because they were bad. I know I can't see the image of the invoice, but will it show the deduction or the change in the invoice price from original, or will I have to log in to see the whole invoice to see the difference?
So let me just ask you one quick question, Kurt, so I understand the current situation. So Tramontano's, DiCarlo's EDI, so they're automatically uploading to Rosnet right now, and when that happens, we don't have the ability to deduct. We can't change it, so I assume we get a credit.
Yeah, let me ask the managers. You get a credit in the mail. It doesn't show up when the invoice goes in the Rosnet that it's been reduced from the invoice.
For DeCarlo itself, it'll actually be listed on the bottom of the invoice what we sent back, and then we will get a credit in Rosnet from DeCarlo or Reinhardt, whichever company we have the dispute with, and it'll actually come through in Rosnet. So we will see the credit.
Ours is different on Tramontano. They just reduce the price of the invoice. We don't get a separate credit. They just take it off.
And
our invoice price is adjusted too.
Kurt, that'll all flow through the exact way it's happening right now.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we wouldn't lose that.
But again, if any of you guys see a change or something not right, just by all means, please let us know and we'll get it corrected. In fact, what we're going to be doing, that kind of takes me to the next part of this. For period 10, what we want you guys to do is do everything the new way, effective 10/6, I should say. So from 10/6 on, do everything the new way. But I'd like for all you guys to still send up your packages in period 10. You don't got to enter into Rosnet, and if there's a mistake, we will fix it and get it into Rosnet for you. But this way we have the ability on our end to make sure and match everything up, that everything is hitting the exact way it should be, and it's truly making your lives easier and not having to check as much, enter as much. So for period 10, please send up your packages like you always have. We'll do the matching to make sure everything is working properly. In fact, and then what we'll do is you'll get an email from Joe saying, we're all good. Once you send your invoices in on a go-forward basis, you can throw them in the garbage. But until you get that email from Joe or a direct phone call from Joe telling you guys that, send your packages up in period 10, even though you're not entering that stuff in from 10/6 on. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yep.
Yeah, for week one, period 10, please process its status quo as we go. Starting week 2, 10/6, then follow the new process.
You guys have any questions, comments, concerns? Something you can already see that is going to make your lives harder or create more work for you? You know, our end result, guys, is to really limit your time having to deal with invoices. And
I
once
have
you
a
get
question
to-
on the search function.
Sure.
I know you said if we have a question like at closeouts, we can go back in and search the actual invoice number, but if I'm going back to look for a history and don't have a direct invoice number, is there still a way I can just look at all invoices from one vendor?
Yeah, can you guys show them how to do that, Leonard?
There is an additional search function here. Give me just a moment here. Go back to we're actually in the viewer right now.
Vendor ID, HAP001.
I'm sorry, say again?
Vendor ID.
Say it again, please.
Search, do a search on HAP001, which is a vendor ID. You can certainly search on vendor name as well, but the vendor ID will just be much more specific, and it will help you not get as many hits for things that you really aren't looking for.
And notice that we have a star before and after HAP001.
And if you know
Okay,
that
thank you.
if you know HAP001 is the exact vendor ID, you do not have to put any asterisks before or after. It will look for the exact fit.
Yeah, those asterisks or stars are wildcard characters, so you can be a little bit off sometimes and still locate your document. So I click go, and here we have 2 invoices that popped up. And notice over here on the right, the vendor ID is HAP001. So you have 2 invoices here, and you can open either one. Let's just, I'll just select the second one, open that, and here is a Happy Chef invoice.
The other thing, guys, just so you know, and if it's not as easy as getting an invoice number, it could be as easy as if you just email your AP coordinator and a button click, they can have the invoice to you now, because there's no more going through a file cabinet trying to find it, which takes sometimes a pretty long time. I don't want you guys wasting your time in here unless it's like something you need on the spot. If you guys need something, by all means, just email AP or Joe, and they'll get it for you guys incredibly quick, and a nice clean image like you're seeing there. because it's readily available. So don't go nuts. If you can't find something, don't panic. Shoot them an email. And they'll have it to you guys real fast.
One thing we didn't mention that when you're done, there is a log out button at the top right. You can obviously also click the X to close the browser tab. The log out is probably a little bit more secure way to close this out.
Now, if you guys want, you can obviously handle all the scanning in yourselves so that you don't have to deal with logging in and approving stuff or declining stuff. Obviously, that's the preferred method. But if your scanner's down, your internet's down, you can literally just have your vendor while they're there snap a picture or go back to their office and send it in. You'll still be able to see the invoice again to make sure nothing's changed. But there really is, 3 or 4 ways to get the information into Docufree so you guys don't have to enter anything. You just got to let us know. If you're having an issue, everything's down, don't want to use your phone on the Wi-Fi as an option, your vendor can do it. Very easy.
Yeah, if your vendor takes a picture of the invoice with their own cell phone, just be sure to tell them it has to be in a PDF format.
Yeah. Email to the desktop, save it. Or if it's you guys doing it with, an electronic device, email it to AP and they'll save it as a PDF and send it up for you. I mean, that's really the whole system. We tried to keep it as simple as possible, and hopefully this helps save you guys a lot of time in the back office, and also, come closeouts when you need to see things. Makes it a lot quicker for you. Kurt, Michelle, Victor, you guys have any questions or concerns?
No, I think it just needs to take a little trial, and then it'll be all good.
Hold on one second, I missed what Kurt said. Yeah, no. Please communicate anything you like and don't like throughout the testing process. And if it's working great, and we'll start to roll it out to our other entities. If it's not, we'll fix it and continue to test with you guys until you feel it's perfect.
Who should they send any feedback to? Like, is there a specific person, like a contact person?
I'm running back, Michelle. You broke up. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Is there a specific person that they should be sending the feedback to, like from us?
Any feedback? Yes. Send it directly to Cheryl or June. Either one, both. Send it to me. Any one of us 3 will get it corrected and researched. Yeah, the last thing is, this is for the managers. If you get statements sent into your store, which happens, or some work order that is not a real invoice, things that we do not pay off of, don't put that into Docufree. Docufree will pick up on those words, and it won't let it go through. If you have statements you want researched, and obviously you can always research them yourselves now by typing in the invoice numbers, but if it's something you can't find, those you should email to your AP coordinator still. You should please do not send statements or work orders into Docufree. Only invoices, since that's all we ever pay off of.
Righteous agency is a good example of that.
And remember with your attachments, when you're sending in an invoice to Docufree, it's 1 invoice per attachment and 1 attachment per invoice.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Lambro has a... No, go loud.
No, I'm saying one good example of a work order that always gets sent in is Righteous Agency. I always get the Righteous Agency work order, but then I have to wait until the actual invoice gets sent to me from the vendor.
Yeah, those will get bounced.
I just put it in I isolate those.
I just don't want to create double work for you guys, since the system's going to recognize that, AP is going to catch that. Work orders, statements, don't put through, because I don't want you guys to have to do double work. Just the invoices we pay off of. Is there anything else? Questions, concerns? If not, that's really the whole system. send you guys. Actually, you're going to get an email Monday from Cheryl and June with all your login information. Kurt, Michelle, and Victor, you guys will get separate emails before that, probably with different access or additional access.
Hey, Danny, it's Chris. I got a quick question for you, real quick.
Yeah, what's up?
When there's a question or an issue, are we calling? What support are we calling about this? Are we calling our accounts? Are we calling DocuScan directly? Is there a support line set up?
Any issues, go right to Cheryl or June. If you can't get them instantly, give me a call.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Can you send us the contact information for those people as well in the email?
Yep. You'll get an email today with everybody to call. No problem.
Thank you.
Anything else? If not, we're good.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
We'll communicate more in a couple days.
Okay. You have a great day.
You guys enjoy your weekend. See you.
Bye.
You too.